When I was 10, my parents sat me down and asked, "So, how are your friends doing that have divorced parents?" Mute. We all know what came next. No one needs to hear the rest. Quite honestly, it was like watching a TV screen. And no one wants to listen to the commercials, so we just mute. A single push of a button, knowing what is happening on the screen in front of us, but never fully absorbing it. Divorce is a tricky word, you see. It's a literal force, pushing family member from family member and blood from blood. The promise to love forever, the binding of a single sheet of paper. The thing about paper is, when it gets caught in the flood, it washes away. There's a darkness that exists with the ability to consume you. Threatened by this overwhelming darkness, a person learns to push it down, fold it up, neatly wrapped and placed in a box, a tiny, claustrophobic box. As the darkness grows, the box shrinks. You push and shove, fold and refold. The packing becomes impossible and the weight of the box unbearable, so the darkness spills out. The box gets bigger, but this time it looks like a coffin. 12 years old, trapped in the darkness, buried in the grief. 6 feet under, but you just can't scream. Because how selfish must you be to claim depression when you're not the only one being affected? So you contain your screams, doomed to live out your days pushing and shoving, trying to find release. While the airtight seal of this cell suffocates, the walls push in around you. All you want is escape. But there's nothing to alleviate the pain. When I was 13, I got a new friend. He's kind and loves me despite this trend of darkness and light, pain and release. He found me in my darkness and offered me relief. So I grabbed on with both hands. Sweet salvation. I could feel the weight on my shoulders ease. It wasn't just a spiritual experience. It was physical, emotional, mental. The darkness dissipated and I was finally free. My battle had been fought and won. It was finally over, I thought. You see, Jesus is our comfort. He is our salvation. He says, "Give me your burdens and I will give you rest." Rest. But never does he say all your days will be easy from now on. Every day after this will be your best. There's no promise of trailless fires and painless nights. Not in this world. Not in this life. 2016. Winter. A physical death of creation. With the shortened days and the darker nights, the echoing cold filled not only the world but my very soul. It consumed me. All of a sudden, I was 12 years old again, daily living in my tiny box. It began as a rumbling, a small disturbance of the quiet, a pinhole in my bucket of happiness. Its minute presence threatened all I had worked for. So I threw myself into the battle plan. Daily prayer, constant scripture. "Get thee behind me, devil, you do not own me." But no one knows how long the battle will last. A day can turn into weeks in what seems like an instant. It all just moves so fast. The darkness hovers before rushing in. All at once you're drowning, suffocating, swimming to the surface and gasping for air, only to find you're right where you began, and wondering if it's worth it to do it all over again. So you build your own box. It's neat and pretty, appealing to the eye on the outside, but it's the inside that really matters. You put a part of yourself in this box and leave it in the room with your counselor. The one place you allow yourself to feel, with the one person who knows everything. The pain, the darkness. But then that one person asks you a question that hadn't even occurred to you. Are you self-medicating? Mute. No. How could you? The very idea introduces a new darkness to you. Betrayal. It's quieter than the darkness you've known for so long. But even more painful, when someone you've trusted who knows exactly who you are, what you are, how you are, questions your ability to resist. Prescription, strength, relief. Would you like me to prescribe you some medication? Sleepless nights, darkened days. The heaviness is there ready to consume you, but how can you allow yourself such a luxury? No, I'm fine. Fine. The universal cry of, I'm not fine. But it seems so easy. I'm fine. I can do this on my own. Don't you see my pretty little box? With it, I'm not alone. I'm fine. Fine enough to refuse prescription. Fine enough to walk out the door. Fine enough to sit in my car. Fine enough to cry. And cry. And cry until honestly you think you can't cry anymore, but the tears are always there. They seep from the pinhole in your bucket. Then it turns into a crack. Then it turns into a gap until your little bucket of happiness is empty. And then suddenly you see, there's another way to fix me. They say ignorance is bliss, and half of the word ignorance is made up by spelling ignore. So you ignore. Mute. You throw yourself into everything, so long as it has nothing to do with you. Love harder, give freer, because as long as you can put a smile on another face, you'll be fine. Ignorance is bliss. Ignore. Mute. No one knows the pain you're going through, and if no one else can feel it, maybe you can't feel it too. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you're free. Fake it until even your counselor says either you're really good at faking it or you're actually getting better. Because you're fine. You are. You're sure of it. No, you aren't. Your bucket isn't just empty, your bucket is gone. And the darkness you were hiding in your pretty little box, it's seeping into the light, and you can't fight it anymore. Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and burst their bonds apart. Freedom. It's there. It's within reach, but you can't reach quite far enough. Your arms just aren't long enough. You strain and you struggle, but you just aren't enough on your own. Until someone comes behind you and lifts you from the floor. Gives you a few more inches to get exactly what you're reaching for. The salvation you found at such a young age, that friend that loved you then, never left your side in the darkness, but in truth, guided you through it. It's the realization you can't do this alone. No, you're not fine, but you can be. That brings your attention to the help you had all along. Ignorance isn't bliss, and faking never works. Because when you ignore your own suffering, you ignore the one who suffered. You don't hand your burdens over, they just pile on the floor. Or fill your pretty box until the darkness spills over. But when you know you're not alone, and you know you're not forgotten, when you grab the hand that reaches out to pull you from the sea, and set you upon the water to walk along the waves, you find your strength in him, to finish your battle and find your brighter day. So here's the thing about this battle, the story behind this war. It's as old as ancient history. It's not new to this world. What I had to realize and what you need to know, it's not a selfish thing to feel, and it's never a road to walk alone.